Hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of It's Kate podcast. I am Kate, I am your host, and I'm really excited to talk about this topic to you today because I think it is so relevant. I think so many of us could use a little bit of advice how to handle and protect yourself from negativity. And for those of you that don't know me yet, I'm a mom of two. Okay, my kids are in the house. This could go either way. It could go smoothly, it could go terribly wrong. There's a 5-year gap between my kiddos. One is 6, the other one is nearly 11, and they are like a dog and a cat. And my 11-year-old daughter, obviously, going through changes, growing up, all of those things. She's a preteen. Emotions are high at times. And very often, if you can relate, if you're also a parent, if you're a woman working from home, those emotions, those daily inconveniences, those bickerings and arguing can really get us down sometimes. Also, another thing is the weather. I'm sorry, if you live in Ireland, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke, but I'm not gonna have a moan about it. But for a lot of people, weather will have an impact on how they feel. And I noticed lately, even driving around town, like the emotions are high. The road rage is at the really high level. And I'm speaking from experience, okay? And for some of you, that could be dealing with negativity at work, or perhaps your partner is more on the negative side. And guys, to be honest with you, those, negative energy, positive energy, it's not something that I was into 5 years ago. Like, I had no clue about those things. I was just drifting through my life, being happily unhappy in where I was. And it wasn't until I started with network marketing with New Skin, because this is who I'm partnered with, that, I was told, hey, listen, like as a daily habit, we work on our mindset, to shield ourselves from negativity and from people that perhaps don't get it, what it is that we do, on door support our ideas. And to me, it was like an alien world. I was like, what do you mean? And to be honest with you, fairly quickly, I realized what they meant, because so-called friends and people that I know had a very good intentions, would send me videos, for example, and it would be like, oh my God, network marketing destroyed my family, and network marketing, I don't know, killed my turtle, or just complete and utter rubbish. And a lot of that stuff that is very anti side hustle, anti network marketing, like, I genuinely think that anyone that's posting content that starts with anti is genuinely just anti joy and is not very, very happy. But I understood very quickly that this is what they mean. And the reason why I wasn't into it before is because I was in the negative space pretty much all the time. My work environment, I worked in fashion retail, was rather toxic, very competitive. It was just not a nice place, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. I didn't have, any bubbly, positive, happy people in my life. And even if I did, I probably rejected them because their attitude was just so alien to me. And I probably thought that they high on something. So I'm incredibly grateful that I started to work on myself and shift my mindset from, being negative and narrow-minded to having a more positive outlook on life. And I don't mean like toxic positivity when we just, smile through everything and we pretend everything is absolutely wonderful and hunky-dories and all of that. No, I mean that positive outlook on life, and that belief that, hey, I got it, no matter what happens, I got it, I will find a solution, I can make this happen, and all of those things. So I have learned a few things from Mel Robbins. She's my icon, she's my guru. I adore this woman. She has helped me so much when it comes to shifting my mindset and working on a more positive outlook on developing better habits and in transformational change, I suppose, in general. She's a speaker, she has her own YouTube channel, her podcast as well. Like, she's absolutely incredible. So if you haven't heard of her yet, definitely check out her content. But I learned those two techniques that I will speak to you about from her. And she uses the best analogy, I think, when it comes to describing how negativity from others, affects us and how it works. So if you have a dog, I do, we have a beautiful golden retriever. And, when the dog goes for a swim, so that they get wet, what do they do after? They run over, like if it's my dog, he will run over to me being like, hey, I'm wet, I'm soaked in water, I'm covered in seaweed and sand, and I'm gonna give you some of that. And he shakes right beside me, and I get absolutely covered in all of that stuff that's on him, the water, the seaweed, the sand. And negative people like pretty much work the same. If you have a negative colleague, or maybe your spouse is like that, when they offload, it's like they're getting all of that yucky stuff all over you, and we're not immune to that unless you have the tools to utilize to help you, shield yourself from that, move through it. That will have an effect on you. And I see it even in our business, women that have a full-time job and they have a toxic environment at work, and their boss is at them just yapping, or there's bitchiness at work, that happens. When they come home with all of that all over them, they don't have that mental strength and energy and even passion to work on their business after hours. And those tools will help you deal with that. And also, they're absolutely fantastic when you are, in a stressful situation, when, there's an argument or there is a confrontation and the other person, is not necessarily emotionally intelligent and they just yell and shout. Or maybe you are in the shop and there you are buying your food and you're buzzing and you're happy and you're going about your day, and the person that is behind the counter is like nasty and just giving it to you. The first thing I really want you to understand is that somebody else's stress is not your stress unless you caused it. Well, then think about your behavior. But if that's got nothing to do with you, it's got nothing to do with you. And I think we have to understand it in our minds. And I think this is our caring nature. It's like, I want to help you, I want to solve your problems, you can't feel better. We can't change anyone, okay? And I've tried it, I've seen people try it, ain't gonna work. I might as well run outside and shout at the sky for raining and ask for the sunshine. Like, it's not going to happen. And it's the same with people. We have to meet people where they are. And we have to understand that unless somebody wants to change, it's just not going to happen. And often in relationships, when one person is going towards the light and, he or she, they want to live better, they want to change their mindset, they want to work on their circumstances, and they're like, what, you can feel so much better. And the other person's like, you're off your head. You joined some sort of a cult. What is wrong with you? And they will be watching the news all day and fuck this and fuck that and the world is messed up and we are all gonna, we are doomed. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it doesn't mean that you have to dump them, okay? You can just use those tools to self-regulate and go about your day and work on your dreams and work on your goals. And just FYI, if somebody's way out of line, call them out on it. You're not supposed to carry somebody's sand and seaweed and water on your shoulders, on yourself all day long. That's not our purpose here. Be the inspiration and, show people around you that, hey, this is just who I am now. I'm going to love on you, but when you're crossing the boundaries, I'm going to move away. And I just find that very helpful. But let's talk about those two tools. So number one is a breathing technique. And I did hear about it before, but you know what? Unless you actually use something, it's great to know stuff, but it's way better to put it in practice, because when I've tried it a few times, I was really surprised to learn how well it worked. It helped. So when you learn new things, you have to then put them in practice. And I actually used it 5 minutes ago because my kids are killing each other in another room. I asked them to give me 20 minutes so I can do what I want to do and what I promised myself to do. Obviously, their agenda is different. They're being kids. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just being kids. But on top of that, my laptop died and my microphone stopped working. So I kind of had to rearrange everything. But when inconveniences happen, this is why we have those tools to move through it, and so we can carry on and go about our plans. So the breathing technique is you breathe in for 4. So you hold it for 7 and you let it out for 8. So in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. What that does, it sends signal to your brain that the danger is over and it's safe for you to be calm. And it works like a charm. I've done it just once 5 minutes ago when I had to rearrange things here and get back to recording, and I'm fine. And I'm absolutely fine. So if you do encounter that stressful situation, just move yourself away, but you can even do it on the spot and use this breathing technique, especially when you're feeling like you're getting very frustrated, overwhelmed, anxious, somebody really, really annoyed you. It's fantastic. Like even I use it in traffic. Like I'm a loving person, but when I'm on the road and, in Ireland, it's funny on the roads. It's funny because it's so unpredictable. And, some people realize they have indicators and some people don't. And some people know how to use roundabouts and others don't. So obviously I have plenty of opportunities as a driver and as a mother and as a, someone that's in a relationship to use those tools. So when I tell you they work, they really do. And another thing she speaks about, Mel Robbins, and I absolutely love, is the analogy of a snow globe. Do you have a snow globe? Like you probably know what it looks like. My daughter had about 10 of them with Elsa inside, of course, because Frozen was just like the biggest thing. And in the snow globe, you have the scene or the character inside, and then you have all that snow and glitter on the bottom. And when you shake it, really hard, all of that goes up and just flies around whatever is inside. People that have tantrums, because I don't care whatever you are, 10, 30, 40 or 80, when you lash out, when you are having an outburst, when you are raising your voice, you have a tantrum. You're just a grown-up that has a tantrum, but it works exactly the same. And she says about picturing that person that, is having a tantrum in a snow globe. And I love it. And I absolutely love it because when you think about it, it just makes you like it genuinely puts a smile on your face because it just puts everything in perspective. And it's such a great visual of this is your globe. All that glitter and snow, being your negative attitude and your toxic behavior, it's in your little globe. And I am here and I choose to be an observer or even just put you on a shelf and walk away. You deal with that and we can talk about things later. It's so good. Honestly, it is so good because anytime I encounter an angry person anymore, that's what I see. I see that person in a snow globe and all of that stuff is flying around them, but I'm not in it with them. And I'm not the reason. I didn't shake the snow globe. And a lot of times, we may, people can be so nasty. And sometimes they will say, it's your fault. You make me so angry. You do this or you didn't do that. And they just word vomit all over you. But what you have to know, and I really hope you do understand it and take it to heart, is that if anyone feels angry, it's not because of you. but because there's anger already within them. And either your behavior, perhaps you have to take ownership and be like, okay, I was way out of line. I was an obvious trigger. But sometimes you're not. Sometimes, they having so much difficulty processing their emotions, the pain, the hurt, the stress. They don't realize that it has to find an outlet, and anything would set them off. Even if a butterfly who probably sat on their head at that moment, if it wasn't you, it would be the butterfly that is responsible for everything that is going wrong with their life. And that, I just really hope you take it to heart, because you should never feel in guilt for somebody else's stresses and, being emotionally not necessarily very intelligent. And it's not offensive, like I'm not being mean to anyone here. It's just the way it is. The moment you start learning about your emotions, it's like, your awareness will skyrocket and you can manage through them way easier. And guys, I'm laughing because, if you're watching on YouTube, you probably see it's getting a little bit brighter because the sun is coming out. So maybe I did change the weather. Like, that is hilarious. But I love the analogy of the snow globe. It just puts everything in perspective so well. And when you see that person in their space, when everything is flying around, just separate yourself from it. And honestly, I believe that, emotional intelligence is something should be taught in school, because imagine if people openly communicated how they feel. Like, guys, like, the world would be amazing. Like, imagine if your partner came home and be like, babe, I had a really shitty day. It was a really stressful day. I need some space to myself. And, instead of you questioning, oh my God, is he angry with me? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? And then you ask, babe, what's the story? And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And it's your fault. Everything, it's all your fault. If they just been open and expressed their emotions, you'd be like, okay, I totally get you. Like, can I make you a cup of tea? Or you know what? Yeah, you do you, boo, and we talk later. And you probably sit on them later, because emotional intelligence is sexy. Like, come on. But we have to understand that, people are people. And I wasn't always that person. And I probably spat a lot of negativity around other people in the past. And I'm glad that I've changed. And I'm glad that I'm continuously working on it. And I'm glad that I was brainwashed into thinking that way, because my life is better, but I dropped the expectations of everybody else being the same way. And I meet people where they are. And I thought, like, I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that, those couple of things will really help you go about your day, focused on your goals, being compassionate towards people that are around you that perhaps are not on the same wavelength. And use it as an opportunity to practice those tools and strengthen your mindset, and think about that wet dog that it's shaking its stuff all over everyone, and utilize the breathing technique when you need to self-regulate and give yourself permission to calm down. And think about the snow globe. Like, imagine looking at your boss stuck in a snow globe and all of that stuff is flying around him. Dude, that's on you. Like, I'm out of here. And obviously, if situations are very toxic, call people out. It's one thing to breathe through it, but if it's happening every single day, like, something has to change. So whatever it's speaking to HR, or like being open to your boss and be like, is everything okay? Because your attitude lately is out of line. I do not feel, confident in pursuing my job and doing daily tasks with that toxic environment. What is going on? And just be open. And sometimes when we are open, we give permission others to be the same. Sometimes it's the opposite, but then again, it's human nature. But guys, I'm gonna leave you with that. I'm gonna get back to my kids. I'm probably gonna do this breathing technique about 10 more times today. But that's the beauty about having those tools in your toolbox. When you need them, use them. If you stay till the very end, listen, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I will catch you on next Sunday. Could be delayed, could be the day earlier. It's simply because we are traveling and life is life. I suppose when kids are back to school, that podcast will be way more regular, and I'll be able to commit better to times. But for now, it is for it is. We are flying to Poland this week on Sunday, and I'm really excited. So I'm gonna do my best to upload an episode on Saturday, and if not, it's probably gonna be on Monday next week, and that day I'll be tuning to you from hopefully sunny Poland. So thanks very much for listening. Have the most amazing day and spread nothing but good vibes.